Basic needs. What do you need to go on with your daily life? There are four basic needs that anyone would need to survive. First, they need water. Second, they'll need shelter. Third, they'll need food. And last, which is it's everywhere, which is air to breathe. Really, there's three requirements to surviving. If you meet those three, you should be able to keep going. So, water. Depending on where you are at in the US, you might be able to access water fairly easily. Everyone needs a way to boil, drink coffee, cook food, and water is essential. Other than products that are able to filter out debris, you could go out to the store and buy a whole bunch of water bottles. You could go to these bigger box stores like Walmart, Kroger's, and buy a 36 pack of bottled waters. Thinking about getting water, you could sometimes easily get it if you have a membership to just say the gym. They'll have a fountain in there where you could fill up your flask or your water bottle. That's a very cheap way of getting water. But if you want to save, I would suggest getting a water filter. Regardless of your situation, a water filter would be the best. If you can get one of those gravity fed type water filters where it's it's like essentially a big container with a filter in it. You fill it up with water, and then at the bottom it'll filter out into clean drinkable water. Try not to buy those expensive Brita pitcher water filters that have that little filter in the middle. But if you are in a, just say, an apartment, a house, condo, something that has running water, maybe those water filters that you can install in line with the water system to your sink, or maybe a separate unit that filters water and doesn't use the sink faucet to output the water. So that's my suggestions. Sure, you have those products called like Life Straw and whatnot, but I think those you need to replace the filter after so many times. And in reality, you can't use a life straw to filter several cups of water so you can use it to cook. It's not practical. It's more of a, you're out in the woods, you really want to drink water, and there happens to be a river or some sort of water source, and you don't want to drink directly from it, so you use the life straw. Another option for water would be to distill water. There's water distillers out there. You could also get those alcohol distillers and convert it to water distillers. It's the same thing. It's basically you're turning the liquid to steam. Essentially, once you distill it back into liquid, it's distilled clean water. Shelter. So keeping a roof over your head will be difficult, especially with the inflation coming up. In the past year, rent has been going up. You can search on YouTube. There's a lot of videos with real estate agents and real estate analysts that breaks it down. But my rent did go up, and I foresee with inflation rising and we are now officially in a recession, my rent will keep going up. So consider looking for alternate ways to keep a roof over your head. Maybe not necessarily an apartment, but if you're able to go and live with family, maybe you're not able to pay them the full rent, but at least some portion of what you used to pay may be sufficient for them to take you in. You could also look into the whole movement with camping, van life, living on the road type of thing. You don't necessarily need to live on the road, but there are options where you could essentially live out of your vehicle. Go to these campsites and pitch up a tent. These campsites do have places to wash, places to shower. If cost skyrockets and you're forced out into the streets, this is another option. I know I sound like doom and gloom, but hey, it's a reality I see in the future. A lot of this is already happening in parts of the country where there's a lot of homeless, a lot of people out in the streets. People aren't being able to meet their financial obligation, and they are forced to decide if they would want to pay their cell phone bill over putting food on the table. So another option could be motels. It might be cheaper to get into motels or Airbnbs. There are areas where it's not necessarily camping, but it's an area where you could stay for the night or for the week. I know Airbnbs offer packages where you can stay for the whole week. Some also you can book ahead of time for a whole month. That's also an option if you are tight in keeping a roof over your head. I know a lot of people don't want to live in their car, and it's degrading, and it's one of those mind shifts that they will have to accept, maybe. Another option is maybe you have a friend or family that aren't willing to take you into their home, but they're willing to have you outside, living in your car and whatnot, and they could have you use their bathroom, their sink, their kitchen, and whatnot for food, but they would be essentially offering you a place to quote unquote camp, maybe in their driveway or out in the street in front of their house, and you're able to access their bathrooms for grooming, toiletry, and whatnot, their kitchen for cooking food, and you could essentially band together and share the cost of food, since you'll be kind of like a family style gathering. So those are the options I came up with regarding keeping a shelter over your head. Please comment down below if you have any other suggestions. I'm just thinking this off of the top of my head. So food. In my last video, I talked about how to save money to reduce your costs in groceries. You could further supplement that by starting a little garden. If you're living in a condo or a apartment that you won't necessarily have a yard, you could start doing a indoor, like an indoor garden, but start with a pot. You could start with a tomato plant. Could be simple as one tomato plant per pot. You could grow microgreens to supplement your diet, and you could also grow cabbage and lettuce. Fairly easy. There are kits on Amazon where you could buy entire growing kit where it growing 24/7. It's like a little bed soil with a grow light. With that, you just need to buy seeds, or sometimes those kits come with seeds. So you just follow the instructions, water it, and leave it on. It'll grow 24/7 as long as you follow the instructions. You'll have edible plant vegetables to eat. You could also grow spices, cut down your cost through that. Those who have a good amount of yard space, depending on your district and your local county laws, you could raise chicken, have hens, and maybe a rooster, so they would make more chickens and grow. And if you're into that, and if you have enough hens, you could have a decent supply of eggs coming in. A lot of people are not comfortable butchering chickens, so what you could do is hire someone that would be willing to do that for a price, and you don't have to butcher an animal if you're not into that. But it is a suggestion. It's a way to reduce costs if you are able to grow vegetables and raise livestock, not necessarily cows, but maybe chickens, as I mentioned earlier. So I'm interested on your thoughts. Please comment below. If you're not subscribed yet and you like this content, please subscribe and like this video. And I'm really looking forward to your comments.